This is Axis Empire's Ultimate Edition from Decision Games. This is the situation at the end of April-May 1937. I'm not going to be doing a video on every single turn sort of thing. This is just a quick update on various things I've come across and various little things I've done messing around with stuff. First thing, I've got some of these control markers from WIF. I'm just using them to mark up the Pacific so you know where everybody is. They don't represent anything except for control. They're not like equivalent detachments or anything like that. They're just merely for just for me to, so I know what's going on. I've also got these strategic hex trackers which come with the game, and I've just marked with blocks the actual state of play at the moment. As you can see, the Allies have some hexes that are actually in the Japanese strategic hex group, and that is sufficient to give an Axis crusade level of victory on the victory points tracker. So that was in place right from the start, and at least it just tells you if you've got 0 to -4. I think we've got -3 or something. That explains why the Allies have got this plus 1 victory point. One thing I did discover is that there's a strategic warfare counter called Luck, which was in the setup for both Total Krieg and Sensu. I had no idea what it was. Eventually I just posted on the Board Game Geek site for Total Krieg, and somebody told me, oh yeah, it's an optional rule. It just allows you, if you've got really bad luck, to re-roll and die. Anyway, so that's been removed from the game. Because it's an optional rule, it's like hidden away in the back of the rule book somewhere. Right, I was never going to find that because I wasn't going to use any of the optional rules. Anything else we've done? Yeah, we've got our sort of markers for the weather sort of thing. I wish there was some proper markers in Board Game Geek that actually summarise the effects of the weather. There might be, so I'll have a look around there. Now, in terms of actual play, it's taken me a very long time to get anything done, which is not surprising because I'm just moving through the game turns, with, you know, following the rulebook and reading all the sections again and everything like that. I found the rule books, they're not as bad to deal with as I remembered them. The big problem I have is the fact that there's several rule books that you could end up looking up stuff. There's things on the cards and in the rules and everything, and they're all in different sections. There's like 4 rule books that you actually can be referring to. It's pretty good in directing you to the right one, but what this game desperately needs is a proper index. It really is. If this is like a deluxe edition, which it is, it needs an index in the rulebook. That would have solved this problem with the luck markers, because I would have been able to find it dead easy. In terms of what's actually happened in the March, April, Spring seasonal turn and the April-May turn, there's been fairly little activity. The Japanese have been building up slightly in their Manchurian dependent, because they're obviously going to consider attacking China at some point, which is going to start off the limited war. We've got activity from the Soviets. They've placed an influence marker on Mongolia. The Allies pretty much did nothing. They did get a shipbuilding roll. So they put a carrier onto the shipbuilding chart. Now that reminds me, I haven't rolled for France. France is a shipbuilding nation, so a 2. Right, I'll have to look that up. I'm not sure whether. Well, actually, while we're here, we will go and look this up, because this is an interesting point. Yeah, so France in Axis empires, right, it needs a 1 to get shipbuilding point. Now this table's a really important table, and it's not on the play aids for the various fractions. I know it's an expansion table, but it's so important that I've marked it here, because basically every turn, every seasonal turn, you're allowed to throw for shipbuilding, and based on this table and the dice roll, you get a shipbuilding point, and a shipbuilding point can be used to build like battleships or carriers cost 1, whereas cruisers or light carriers cost half a point. Okay, and then what you do is the actual ship goes into the delay box, and in the delay turn you decide where it goes on the shipbuilding track. But there's like a massive delay built in. For example, you roll a die for delay, and the very minimum for, say, something like the Commonwealth is a +9 DRM, so you're going to be moving at an absolute minimum 10 spaces on the production track. Right, so that was the only little irritation, that, because I found it first time, and then I had to refer to it again, and I couldn't find it. It took me looking up a few things to find that table again. That's why I've marked it with that yellow thing, so I can easily find it from now on. Other stuff that's happened in the West has been very, very quiet. The Axis managed to use their nationalist influence chart to turn Catalonia into an independent state. So that's undermined the Republican side of the Civil War, because that's no longer part of the Civil War now. Apart from that, there wasn't much there. The French, they had an interesting card about the fact that Belgium, Holland wasn't taken out of its Locarno Pact obligations, and it says if it was neutral, you make it non-neutral. And I think this is obviously for the fact that I'm playing the historical card game. So yeah, you could necessarily play this card at a later phase. Certainly playing it now, it said that is no longer a neutral country. Well, it wasn't a neutral country to start with, so that really didn't do anything. The French did get a little one-step replacement. Well, the Germans also got a one-step replacement as well. The Russians, they played a purges card. Now, there's an interesting thing. There's a thing called naval purges, which is, it's part of the Schiffskrieg module, but it's not easy to find in the rules. And there is actually a little marker that goes on the shipbuilding delay box, which Russia would have to expend a shipbuilding point to remove that marker before they can build anything. That took a bit of finding, I've got to admit. Yet again, an index would have solved that problem. One thing the Japanese did get is they played a, what do you call it, an army program card. Now this is an interesting one as well. I got the army program, and you get your conventional Air Force marker, but you also get a couple of LBAs. Now as far as I can understand, land-based aircraft is an LBA marker. These part of the expansion. These are LBA markers. Now, look, reading the rules, it implies they go into the delay box, but they haven't got a delay stripe, which is really weird. See these little delay stripes, these black or white stripes or whatever? That means when you get them as a reinforcement, they go into the delay box. They don't come into your pool straight away. So I've just assumed that LBAs go on to the replacement tracks, go into the delay box and undergo the delay process as normal. So if anyone knows different, let me know about that. I could be misinterpreting that rule. Just trying to think, is there anything else really happened? Not really. This is why I want to play. Well, this is why I recommend you do play 1937 at start. It's because there's so little happening that it's easy for you to get yourself into the game and work your way through playing a campaign game. The big problem about it is if you're playing the cards and you're not using the historical card play, you're going to be in for a world of pain, because there's so much sandbox stuff with the 1937 start that you're not going to be, unless you're an absolute genius, you're not going to be able to control how the war goes. So it's probably not a good start for a campaign game if you want to play the Second World War as it actually happened. The only exception to that is do what I do and play the historical cards. I noticed there's quite a few optional rules available. As I mentioned, I decided not to play any of the optional rules. I probably will read them again. Well, read them for the first time, to be honest, and I might, if I like any of them, I might go for them. I think at the moment we've got enough relearning this game. Another little mention, I know this is a bit disorganized, this particular video, but I'm just doing stuff as it comes through to my head, reminding me of what happened during the turn. Yet again, with the victory point track, the Allied have got an advantage at the start of the game. They've got one victory point, and that is due to the fact they have quite a few hexes, strategic hexes that belong in the Axis hexes group that they don't actually control at the start. Now that's a bit weird. I would have said you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14 hexes in the Axis group that you don't control. So that to me would give you a 4 victory point Allied Crusade thing. I don't know, but the setup says it's definitely 1. I don't know about that. I'm going to have to check that up. If anyone knows what's causing that discrepancy, maybe I'm missing something about the strategic hex tracker for Total Klieg. Okay, another thing, because I'm obviously playing historical card things, I am not secretly choosing a pending card for the next season, and I'm deliberately not looking at those pending cards because they're there, but I just haven't picked them. And the reason for that is I want to keep an element of surprise going, a little bit of surprise going. So even though I'm playing historical, I'm not necessarily sure of what is going to happen. Yeah, another little thing the Soviets did is they got a couple of steps and reinforcements, and I've stuck them in Kamchatka and Sakhalin, which is probably not an optimal placement, but I just wanted it to make it clear who actually controls those areas. Just for my point of view, I don't think the placement of a couple of very weak Soviet steps is going to have any real influence on this game, especially as I'm playing historically, so that Russia is not going to go to war with Japan. Right, that's it. I've rambled on for long enough. I hope this video's worth watching.